by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land we're meeting on today, the Jarrabah people. Without their sustainable relationship with the land, we would not be enjoying the landscape and the natural resources we do today. So without further ado, we've got a few housekeeping things that I'll go into later, but I'd really like to start today by introducing our opening speaker, Melody Pedler. Melody recently graduated from the University of Queensland with a Bachelor of Journalism. She is passionate about telling the stories of regional Australians, and in 2011 she was awarded the J.B. Fairfax Award for Rural Journalism and was the AZ Heywire winner for Southern Queensland. She currently works for Queensland Country Life and is based in Brisbane. And she's going to begin this Youth Week event by speaking to you all. Please welcome Melody.
Now, when we're all kids, in the sandpit we go, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? Some people know. I was one of the people that knew. So since primary school I'm always going, I want to be a journalist, I want to go to uni, study journalism. That's what I want to do. But for some people they don't know. And that's okay too. It's okay to dream big and change your mind. For entering ABC Heywire, I was able to look back and go, well, I've done the JB Fairfax Award, why not have a shot? So if you do something right the first time, and something goes wrong the second time, and then you go, alright, well I'll try again the third time, it's really helpful just to look back and go, well, I've done this before, you know, it's not such a daunting thing. So really just looking back helps you focus on the future. And I won't keep you any longer, but the last point I wanted to make is from the Muppets. So really I'm not much of a grown-up at all. I watch the Muppets at the movies. So Gary says in the movie, sooner or later you have to start believing in yourself. That's what growing up is. It's about becoming who you want to be. So my question to all of you today is, who do you want to be? If you know what that is, seek after it and chase it, and really just give it all you've got. But if you don't know, that's okay too. Just remember to just enjoy the journey, and every wrong turn you think you're making is going to get you to the right place in the end. Thank you.
A few of you may be moved outside your comfort zone a little today. We're going to be splitting you up into mixed school groups. And one of the things that we're hoping that you can get out of today is there's so much wisdom and knowledge already in this room. We can see from the posters that are spread around the walls, there are quite a number of school environment groups that are already making actions and making change in their own local area. And so rather than, I guess, always looking to the outside to experts to provide you with different ways of being able to do things, there's so much knowledge already within the group that's gathered here in the room. So part of the reasoning behind splitting you up and putting you in mixed school groups is so that you can share some of the ideas, things that you've tried at your school, or ask some of the questions that you might have. How did you go about this? How did you tackle this challenge? So be bold and be brave.
So I want you to do that in pairs. Introduce yourself. What's your favourite food, your favourite movie, and what you're passionate about. Then your partner opposite you will say what they're passionate about. Meanwhile, the other couple next to you are doing the same thing. Once you've done that, and once they've done that, I want you to then introduce your partner to the person next to you. Cool? Too easy. Go. And a lot of time. So break up into two people partner to somebody else in your IP next to you.
And go and sit at the table with the correct number. So if your name is underneath 3A, you sit at the table that says 3A.
So World Café is based on the assumption that everyone has within them wisdom and creativity to tackle even really complex challenges, and I know that that will be the case with you. World Café brings people together to connect, to get deeper understanding of issues and to inspire action. So for this cafe, going with the National Youth Week theme, will be about imagining possibilities for greater sustainability in schools. It will be about co-creating ideas, and it will be about inspiring action. So the first question is, what do we imagine possible at sustainable schools? So you've got about 10 minutes to have this conversation at your table, to write down any key themes, ideas or realisations that you might have on your tablecloth, and at the end of the 10 minutes I'll ask you to record just 3 key themes from each table. One idea per page on those little bits of paper, and we're going to put them up on a sticky wall in the dining hall where we'll be having morning tea and lunch. Okay, so can each host please do that? Write 1 idea per page. We want 3 ideas from each table in nice big writing so that everyone will be able to read it. Okay, you've got 2 minutes to do that. Okay, so we'd just like to hear the possibilities that you've come up with for a sustainable school.
We have solar panels, jar recycling bins and windows for lighting instead of electricity.
So we have solar power, recycling and rainwater tanks.
Right?
We have energy efficient classrooms, a clean school by activities like eating grades constantly and recycling.
Thank you.
Okay, we have using laptops instead of PCs because they use less power, less aircon usage in classrooms, you know, because they chew up a lot of electricity and it's bad. And, oh yeah, that's right, time to water taps in the bathrooms, so yeah, use this water.
Right.
We had incentives for students to care for their school environment, and we had reduced energy consumption and raising awareness among kids in the community with activities and fundraising.
We had Earth Week, which basically encouraging students to turn off devices when they're not in use at all. Recycling and using what is available, which is basically designing rooms to be easily lit during the day so you don't need to turn on lights.
Something that challenges and provides new opportunities, one that meets the community's needs, create projects that are continually growing into the future.
We sort of had the same things as everyone else, but being resourceful, using our resources better, and having minimal wastage, and possibly using greenhouse and closed system gardens to use our resources to their full potential.
Right.
We had Clean Up Australia Day, recycling, and adopting life-threatening animals. We had cleaning up rubbish, planting trees, and energy audits.
Okay, thanks everyone. The person who is the host, could you remain at your table, but for everybody else, I want you to get up, move to another table of your choice, but at the end of the day, obviously, there's so many seats and so many people, so everyone needs a seat at a table, but ideally with different people to those that you're sitting with now. So can everybody do that? But the host will remain behind. Okay, so what I'd like you now to do is for the host to just get people to introduce themselves to each other, and then for the host to update the people now at the table on the key themes that you just talked about at your table.
Yeah. Basically what we were discussing, well, you probably already heard our 3 points.
And then for our third one, oh yeah, the time water taps which we already have.
So So the question there is, what inspires us to create these possibilities? So you've come up with some possibilities. What will inspire you to put them into action?
We have the heritage of the history. We have media. What was the media? Famous people, so they influence us. And we have the people.
We have hope for a brighter future, a feeling of responsibility within the community, and fear of consequences of inaction.
She's in realistic.
It's not hard though, it's halfway. Have a look. There's your word. Check it out. Next word coming up.
Small amount of backup with biomass and hydro when on the rare occasions there's not enough losses. So the red lines there show new high voltage DC transmission lines which can connect those very remote power sources.
The first important thing is to read the word on the box.
Where is it?
Faith. Faith. Can you touch faith? Can you taste faith? Can you believe in faith? Yes. Belief. Faith in what you do and what you feel and what you believe in is what makes sustainable work.
Guys, we're just going to make what we're making is recycled bags out of old t-shirts from Lifeline. We cut off the sleeves, we cut out the collar, and we sew up the bottom. And that creates a groovy bag like this.
I can hold it. Your groceries are
Okay, divide it with your hand, and with two edges together, make sure that they stay together.
XL Solar are a local company, and XL Power, we employ 21 staff. So we're involved in electrics and certainly solar. But today I'm not going to try and sell anybody anything. I'm just going to give a bit of an overview of how our system works. And more importantly, look at some of the sciences and take maybe some questions along those lines. So I'm going to talk about solar grid-based photovoltaics, which is known as PV in the system, or in the industry, systems. So a grid-based system is something like this school. So naturally, the school has a solar system of ours on it. But it's still grid-based, it's connected to the utility outside.
Basically telling you how I got involved in the Australian Youth Climate Coalition and why I keep volunteering all my time every week. Like, I've always sort of grown up knowing the environment is important. I grew up in Sunshine Coast hinterland in the bush. Our house was like not off the grid with electricity, but off the grid for everything else. So we had to make sure we looked after water and the environment around us. So when I learned about climate change, it was pretty scary and really disempowering because it's such a massive problem, and just being a single person, you feel like you can't do anything. It's a problem for, like, I don't know, worlds, countries, the whole world to fix, and I didn't think that I could factor into that. Eventually, like, I just got so frustrated. I wanted to go out into the park and on a weekend and shake people and say, this is happening, it's important, it's going to affect every single one of us and our children, why don't you care? And yeah, because I was so frustrated, I was just Googling all the time. I eventually found Power Shift, which was the conference that the AYCC ran last year at the end of October, which was basically 3 days packed full of seminars, workshops, sort of skilling up people and putting them into groups for how you can actually create a difference. So when I found out about that, I also found out that they were doing like a flash mob and how you need to help promote it, and I was like, okay, I'll go along and help promote that. And there was only about 6 people, so it wasn't really a flash mob, but it was fun anyway. I was awkwardly dancing in front of the uni, but yeah, I had a lot of fun and there were really great people involved, so I kept volunteering and I got really involved. And after Power Shift, they sort of showed me, I learnt that I can make a difference. Being part of a movement where you've got like tens of thousands of young people all across the country doing the same thing means that you can make a difference, and it's up to each individual to sort of drive that.
St Saviour's has made a display over in the back there, so they're just going to talk to their display and tell us about what they've been doing at their school.
Most of our environmental comes through our SRC, our Student Representative Council, and in the SRC we have an environmental subcommittee, which I'm a part of. So the SRC goes through and does and organises all the events like Planet Australia Day. We have National Tree Day coming up, and we also have World Environment Day coming up this term. The SRC is also is with the Condamine Alliance. So this year we got a grant to do things in our school for the environment. So what we did was we first we made a vegetable patch, a vegetable garden, which our home economics students take care of, and it goes through our assignments and that, so we learn how to be sustainable and economic for our future. We've also got a shredder in our computer rooms, so that at the end of the day any scrap pieces of paper can then be shredded and put into our compost bin, which all of the hospitality, home ec, our boarding, kitchen, and all the paper from the computer rooms will then get put into, so it makes it a more sustainable school. We also have programmable timers for our water, so that we have a limited usage on our water and it controls it. And so yeah, our gardens are produce for cooking classes and that as well. We use it all in every time we do a practical class. And yeah, I think that's about it. That's just
Hello everyone, we're from Our Lady of the Southern Cross College and we're here on behalf of our Eco Warriors group. We're a group of students comprised of great diversity and primarily are an environmental group that also addresses some social justice issues.
As you'll see in our upcoming PowerPoint, we're all about getting our school more aware and involved in environmental issues. We have already established a vegetable garden and are continually active in the community through events such as Clean Up Australia Day and Plant a Tree Day.
For the future, we intend to continue this and maintain the ambition and motivation that has been instilled in our student body. So we now wish to direct your attention to the PowerPoint.
Good afternoon everybody. My name's Debbie Gowdy and I'm the Ag Science teacher at Oakey State High School. Late last year we had a visit from the Department of Environment and Natural Resource Management talking about pests and weeds, and during that conversation we learnt about the cactoblastis. And the students were very interested in this cactoblastis caterpillar that was brought out to Australia nearly 100 years ago now to help eat and kill off the cactus problem, which was a very invasive weed that we had here in Queensland predominantly. Once the students discovered that they actually couldn't find the cactoblastis in the environment, they decided that we should perhaps start breeding the cactoblastis. So earlier this year we applied for a grant from the Condamine Alliance and we were successful in doing that, and that enabled us then to have some community consultation and talk to our local landholders to see if they could find some cactoblastis for us. And they did indeed, and from that meeting we've had plenty of interest from our local community, and they've been bringing in lots of cactoblastis caterpillars for us, and we've been breeding them ever since, with the hope that we will eventually have enough cactoblastis to then release back into the community in the future and get on top of this invasive weed, the cactus. So the students are looking at the life cycle of the cactoblastis and learning the breeding process, because a lot of that information is no longer available, because the people who are involved in the breeding program over 80 odd years ago are no longer with us to share their knowledge. So we're relying on any information that we can learn from the general public and trial and error on our behalf. So thank you very much.
So my name's Naomi Jensen, and this is Cassandra Connellan, 4th level from Warwick State High School. We haven't got a video or a PowerPoint to show, but we just want to tell you guys what we've been up to. We have a committee at school called the Environment Committee, which is run by a leader and a mentor teacher who's found over here, but unfortunately our leader couldn't attend today. Well, to begin our Environment Committee, we did Clean Up Australia Day. We've got a $1,000 grant as well. We're putting that towards a tucker garden, which we can hopefully put in those pumpkins, was it? Yeah, plant some of them as well. We're also sponsoring a orangutan. We're going to have a carp fishing competition in our local river, Condamine River, in-house groups. We've got Hamilton, Cunningham, Leslie and Barnes, and we're just going to fish the carp. We are also going to paint the local, well not the local, our school rubbish bins at school in the house colours and have a recycling competition. In the beginning of term 4, we're planning on doing a cook-off for our in-house competitions where we use herbs from the home ec block and we can garden. That's about it.
Thanks, girls. They've got a lot planned that's going to be really exciting down at Warwick, and I look forward to seeing it. I think you've all proven that you know well how to imagine and create, and I found you all very inspirational today with your ideas and your activities and walking the talk as well.
It sounds like you're all pretty fired up and good to go with ideas, but it was just often sometimes. I know I found the same when I was trying to work on some environmental issues. At times you can feel a little bit despondent and a bit down, I guess, because you think, oh God, it's just such a huge problem, some of the challenges that we're facing, and I'm just one little person. And at times it can just seem too big to try and tackle. And I came across recently 2 fellows from the US, John and Hank Broom. They were brothers, and they started this vlogging project, making video blogs. And essentially they said, there's really no point in thinking about some of the challenges as being huge, because you can really boil it down to a couple of solutions of how you can make the world a better place. You can increase or decrease the suck or increase the awesome. And that's really boiling it down to keeping it simple. And so when we're trying to think about what can we do, how can we be most effective, I guess don't think about it being so large. Keep it simple. There's really only 2 things we can do. Decrease the suck or increase the awesome. So if you wanted to look them up, they've got some great YouTube clips about their project that they started up, and it's actually grown to be quite a really large event. Annually they hold the Project for Awesome, which is where they hijack YouTube essentially, and they get people to make videos promoting their favourite cause or charity, and then try and get others to donate or do actions supporting those particular causes. And that was just one of the ideas that they came about, as something that they could do to try and make a difference. Our sphere of influence, and thinking about who is it that is actually, who and what are in the area that we can control. So we can control our own actions, but who around us can we influence? Is it through sporting clubs? Is it through people we work with, go to school with, our family? So I just want you to take a few moments now to think about who is within your sphere of influence. And it doesn't need to be direct face-to-face contact. You know, all of us have got Facebook pages or send out messages on Twitter. Think about who is it that's within your sphere of influence. How can you extend the influence that you have beyond just your own actions? And I guess the other side to the sphere of influence is when you're starting to do activities, rather than focusing on, yes, I'd really like the Prime Minister to be making different decisions, perhaps that's something that you can't directly impact at the moment, but thinking about who's within your direct circle of influence and control that can then have a ripple effect onto making some of those, tackling the bigger changes you'd like to see happen. The last activity is a bit of a creative brainstorming ideas building session. So on the table in front of you, there should be some scrap pieces of paper and there'll be enough pens, one for everybody on there. So the first part of the activity is individual, and I'd like you to do it separately without chatting to the others that are on your table, is identify something you're not happy with. So just take a moment to think of an environmental issue you'd like to change, something you'd like to take action on. Okay, of those 3 possible solutions that you've thought of, pick your top one, and on your piece of paper, I want you to briefly outline your issue or challenge at the top. So it could be waste or lack of recycling in your school, for example. Underneath that, your top idea of how you can tackle that, write it underneath the issue or challenge. Make sure you can identify your piece of paper and then scrunch it up into a ball. Once you've got on your piece of paper your issue briefly outlined at the top and one action or solution underneath it, scrunch up that piece of paper. Make sure you know which is your piece of paper because you're going to have to find it again at the end. Okay, what you need to do once you've scrunched your piece of paper is toss it to the other table group that you are sharing with. Yeah, we're sharing with these guys. Okay, make sure that you end up with another piece of paper. If it's fallen on the ground, find one so you will end up with a piece of paper. Unscrunch your ball, have a look at the issue and the idea and value add to it. Once you've added your idea or you've built on the paper that you've got, scrunch it up and toss it back. It'd be a really good way to build upon some initial ideas that you have. Others in your community are able to contribute and build on the initial ideas that you have. What I'd like you to do with your pieces of paper is make sure you get back your own, collect them all as a group, and you've got a really good starting point for different actions for your environmental committee at school. Things that you can start doing next week when you get back to school.
How you're left feeling about sustainability in your school at the end of this day. So just in a snapshot, how has this day left you feeling?
I guess hopeful.
Thank you.
Sharing ideas with other students.
Pretty much everyone can make a difference, but not necessarily through direct action. It can be indirect.
I just feel like it's possible for us to do so much more.
It's given us new and improved ideas that we can work with and implement within our school.
Inspired.
Thank you. That was very heartfelt.
We can all make a change.
Okay, thanks so much everybody for your participation. see your enthusiasm and your willingness to get involved.
Thank you. That's it.
The World Café is really about giving people the opportunity to have a conversation, low-key, no hang-ups about saying the right thing or being seen to be doing the right thing, but being able to speak from the heart and to hear what other people are doing, to be inspired by what else is happening around them, and to get a sense of, well, we're actually all on about the same thing. We might be going about it in different ways, but we're heading in the same direction. And I think that's what I saw from the group this morning, that they did really get into the conversation, and also what they were talking about, you could see the common themes between the different groups, but also some really different thinking as well.
I guess it's a bit of a cliche, but we hear the term that, the youth are tomorrow, and if I think we don't involve the youth of today in starting to think about some of the environmental challenges that are facing us and looking at things that they can proactively do, we're in for trouble. And I think there is a lot of there's a lot of enthusiasm out there in the student community. There can be the tendency for students to feel a bit disempowered and depressed, feeling like they don't really know what to do. And I think having school-based environment groups can be a really good first starting point for them to start making changes happen in their own community and feel like they're actually doing something that's constructive. Having an event like today is really good because it brings in schools or students from a number of different schools, and so they're having the opportunity to share ideas, because I think we really need to get away from this idea that there are experts who are the font of all knowledge. We know the answers to a lot of the problems facing us. It's things that aren't really difficult, but it's a matter of sharing ideas and looking at creative ways to tackle some of the challenges that are facing us and make the most of the different opportunities that are out there. And I think the more opportunities there are for students to network with other students and look at creative ways to solve these challenges, the better it is. Well, hopefully that's one of the things that will come out of today from the wrap-up session, is actually asking the students what do they think will be most helpful in terms of keeping their school-based environment groups going. I think it's important that we listen to them and hear what will be most useful, because I think we need to move away from some of the traditional ways that we may have been approaching environmental groups and supporting environmental action in the past. I think we're fast moving into a new era, and the way that the youth of today want to be supported may not be the way that you and I were supported in the past.
Okay, well, I guess firstly we were looking at this as something to build on to the future. So we wanted to educate the high school children about some of the environmental issues of the day, but also to see what they may be able to do back at their own schools. So we're providing lots of information, both the hard copy as you see here, but also various speakers and presentations to get their minds thinking about solutions to problems, not just the question of the problem. We're hoping that by showcasing some of the existing good work of school-based environment groups and other NGOs in the area, that they'll learn from one another and gain some valuable insight into what is possible and start doing these things in practice back at their school, but also in their local community. This event is aimed at secondary school students. Next year we're looking at doing something for primary school age children. Certainly there's a number of ideas we already have. Once again, maybe doing something with National Youth Week or World Environment Day. We're also looking at promoting junior land care, so that may be an opportunity for us. We'd like to work more closely with the Earth Smart Science program people. There's an opportunity, I think, for collaboration for various agencies to work together to bring about an event where maybe more schools could be involved. Excuse me. This year we've got 8 secondary schools. Next year we want to maybe not double the number of primary schools, but if we can make next year's event more successful than today, I'll be happy.
I'm from St Saviour's College here in Toowoomba, and our students actually said to me they wish they'd come to this before I gave them their last term's assignment, because it was on sustainability and food, and they've learnt a lot today. But next semester we're doing sustainability in housing, so it's been fantastic for them. And I think it's made them more aware of the environment and what sustainability is. And the other thing I think that's been great is that the students have shared ideas with other schools. They've really enjoyed that. And I know they're very taken with the Eco Food Group and the Blue Planet. They'd love them to come to our college and speak to all the students.
Right, so you see this momentum being sort of maintained? You know,
I think so, and I think these girls, that my students are year 11 and 12, and they'll go back and they've actually got to give a report next week on the full school assembly on what they learned today to make all students aware at our college.
Great.